and welcome to Studio
Set
Stage, a weekly podcast with us, Cynthia Mallard
and Marq, where we take you from the studio to the set to the stage
in the world of entertainment. All right, welcome back to Studio Set Stage. I'm Cynthia Mallard.
And I'm Marq.
Hey guys, we are back. Happy Friday to you.
Yes, happy Friday. It's Friday.
Yeah, I got a little energy, I'm pumping into the week. Of course, our week is not over,
Yes.
but we're happy that you guys have joined us once again.
Definitely. Thanks to everybody that's been tuning in. We appreciate all the studio set stagers out there.
Yeah.
And we definitely appreciate the support. And again, another Friday, another episode. So let's get to it.
You know what? I gotta say this. Thank you again, those of you who have increased the subscriptions,
Yes.
to our podcast. Like I said, we just began 2018, right?
Yes, we did.
And we are just climbing steady, and organically. So we love that.
Yes, we love it. We love it. Thank you for the likes. Thank you for the follows. And we ask you to keep on liking, keep on listening, keep on following us. You can reach us out on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, and Google Play. Those are the platforms.
We were thinking just off air, just before getting into this episode. Are you guys scared to engage with us? What is going on? I was just thinking, we do have some people who reach out to us, right?
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go on air and be like, what are y'all afraid? No question is dumb. So I think maybe that's part of the deal, some kind of hesitation maybe.
Yeah, well, also, I think we've been seeing an increase of that, but we encourage you guys because that gives us, your input gives us, direction on where we should definitely focus.
And what y'all want to hear, what your struggles are when it comes to Studio Set Stage and how we can help you. And if we can't help you, maybe we can forward you on to someone who can, or be of better service to you than us. Because like I said, we created Studio Set Stage specifically to take you from the studio to the set to the stage. And then some of those people who are not even in studio, y'all ain't even made it to the first platform yet, right?
You haven't even taken the first step, right?
Exactly. There's so many of us who are just, on the couch. I do remember those days of not haven't had any experience in Studio Set Stage. So that's why we are here for those of you who are, like I said, at home. Maybe you're the housewife. Maybe you run garbage pickup, No, seriously, maybe you sweep in the street, you know what I'm saying? And you're doing that just to make ends meet,
Yeah, definitely. And, anything and everything starts with that idea.
But you have a vision, like you said, to be in Studio Set Stage, and you feel like you have a talent. Your purpose is to be in this. That's why we're here for you.
Exactly. We want to provide you with resources and tools that will help you to initiate and start. Because that's part of the battle. That's half the battle is starting. Like that Nike used to say, just do it. Start.
And then many of us, and we've said this before, you always hear about that. Start. Everybody say start. Everybody say, but you ain't got nobody to tell you anything. You ain't got nobody to help you
exactly.
up. So I remember that also, wanting to start in a particular area in different, maybe theater, maybe voiceover, maybe media. And I didn't have anybody to lead me at a particular time,
Right. Starting out, and this thing is very unorthodox. This industry, the entertainment industry, is unorthodox, and it's where you're struggling and you're struggling, but then
not struggling, hustling.
It happens.
Does.
The struggle, the hustle, and then it automatically happens, and you don't really have a fundamental understanding of the process. There are no rules. How people, how a Cardi B got on is different from the way, say, a Gaga got on. But however, they're in the industry. But the commonality between that and from my experience, I know that in the industry, you got to know the business of it. And when you handle your business, it helps you to stay consistent in your craft, in, being that creator, in being that producer, and being that actress, that actor. And so those things that we, and I really, feel great about being in a position to provide maybe, hey, think about this or look at these things. Right. Because, in this industry, it's always the end result that you see. You see that final project when you turn on the TV or when you, hear that music or when you hear that song or you see that video or you see that artist performing or you see that movie that you go to. That's the end result. But you don't know, okay, well, what's the first step?
Well, you know what? I think one of the most important things, I think I've hit on this before, mentorship is so important. So, like, if you don't have someone who's like right there next to you or someone on your street or someone in your school or whatever who's helping you to go on to the next platform or whatever, or teaching you which door to go through, I feel like a podcast, like broadcasts such as ours, does such a great service. Like, you do not know how happy I am when I get DMs, Facebook, IG, YouTube about, people. Some of you guys are scared to put it on publicly, so I get it. I totally get it. But it does something for my heart just to know that I am able to pass on the information that I learned. Now, somebody may have not taught me. Maybe I just learned on my own, of course, certain things. Most things I did. Of course, just trial and error or whatever.
Yeah, experience is always the best teacher.
But you want to make it easier for the people that are coming behind you, and even some of the people who are even above you, even more advanced. I always feel like we can learn something from each other.
Exactly. And this is a collaborative effort as well. You cannot be an island in this. It's too huge. It's too much. And that's one thing that can be an illusion even with certain resources, like, say, the tools and resources that are available through social media and through this current platform. However, if you don't have fundamental understanding of certain things, you won't know how to maximize the potential of using, say, social media. And where, again, too, like, when I go into illusion and just to kind of break it on down, everybody has a smartphone. Everybody either has an iPhone or Android or the Google or Samsung.
Are we getting sponsors from iPhone? Did you just say their name?
Well, you know what?
Google. Are we getting paid? I need to. I'm just wondering.
A hint to the wise is sufficient. So come on.
Right. You can't say that anymore until they give us some money.
Well, hey, that's part of the process. See,
it's all about the business, y'all.
Right.
It's all about the business.
It's all about the business, but you also know that there are guerrilla ways of putting it out there.
Oh, God. Okay. Well, listen. Like I said,
you see what I'm saying?
Yes.
See? So it's strategy.
It is. It's traditional and non-traditional, which brings us to our topic today, guys. Like I said, this week I'll be honest with you, I have had a very, very busy week. Shout out to my agents over at J. Purvis who continue to support me and back me and put me in the room.
Right.
And I may go in there and totally mess up. And they're still there with me. It's a team effort. But it's just so interesting. Like, so we were talking off air, and just when we are always getting our topics together, like, we're off air thinking about, like, okay, what do we really need to talk about? And we came to an agreement about the traditional and non-traditional ways of living studio set stage and getting there, right?
Exactly. And of course, with the process. And as I've always said before, and you're going to hear me, I might sound like a broken record, but I'm going to say this again because you guys need to understand this. In this industry, there are no rules, but there is a process. It's a process. And in that, now looking at the current landscape, the current climate of the industry, it is definitely going from brick and mortar to click and order.
Right.
Meaning that everything is interactive, everything is digital.
Everything.
And just the accessibility. When you look at the major platforms across the industries, whether it's film, whether it's television, music, multimedia, you have these platforms now like Netflix. Excuse me. I just as I was drinking coffee.
Everything.
But Netflix,
right,
you have Spotify, you have streaming, you have all of these things that will give you the
access,
convenience,
that's right,
the access and all of that
to the people who you would have never ever met in your life. But I think we were talking about like whereas before you had to go on a stage maybe and perform your music and invite all of maybe the producers or whatever, or you had to invite people and they come out. Now it's just, hey, you can go online and you may say I'm the best songwriter, I'm the best actress or whatever, and somebody can just press a button basically and see if you're the real deal.
Right. And with that, it comes down to understanding the process with that, because there are certain things that are tried and true, meaning that there's a combination of the traditional things that you implement in the non-traditional things, the new technologies.
Right.
But there are certain things that are tried and true. Like I say, especially for all the performing artists that's out there, the performing artists, for all the performing artists that are listening right now, if you say you are a performing artist,
you mean music, right?
In terms of music,
okay,
even if you're theater, if you're actor, and so forth, if you are for performing artists in music, I'll just say for the musicians. For the musicians out there, all my performing artists that are musicians, singers, songwriters, whatever. If you say you're a performing artist, are you performing? Where are you performing? Because if you say that, then I'm not going to just look at your IG. I'm not just going to look at your Facebook. I'm not just going to look at, listen to my song. Where are you performing?
You mean physically, right?
Physically.
Okay.
And those are the things that really, in terms of engagement, are the tried and true.
Now that's traditional. So you would characterize that as traditional.
Yes.
So non-traditional, or the flip side of that would be, Cynthia Mallard. I'm a bassist. I'm a guitar player or whatever, and I just set up the camera, right? And I go live. I go live on Facebook or whatever, or IG, right? And I get on like that too. So that's like the non-traditional way.
Yeah, and it's considered that. It's just the new medium. It's the new access. Now that will give you the access to engage.
You're in essence bringing like 80 billion people to you, basically.
Exactly.
Instead of you going to maybe 10 producers or 10 labels or whatever it is, you have the option in the non-traditional way now in 2019 to bring billions of people to you. So why wouldn't you do it?
Well, the thing is, I think in the confusion in that is with the technology, and you have easy access to it, is people just say, well, I can just put my stuff up on this particular platform, and just because I have it up there, I think that covers all the other basics. But there's no substitute for the work. You still have to do the legwork.
Do you think that's why we have sometimes we have like musicians who are, I'm just gonna say, who suck? Once you go out and see, like, oh my God, they're awesome on IG. Like, they're awesome on Facebook. But then when you go see them at, say, the Phillips Arena, not even Phillips Arena, but like a small little cafe that may hold like maybe 50, 100 people, and they suck.
Right. And
you're like, what?
Again, if you say, then that's where going back to saying, if you say you are a performing artist, at the core of it, you got to perform. That's the only way you're able to hone those skills. You can put videos up of you singing, where you're in your comfort setting.
Exactly.
But actually seeing you engage and getting that energy back from, say, an audience when you're performing. Because the proof is in the pudding. They're going to let you know either they're going to like it or they're going to hate it. Either I love it or I hate it.
But when you're in the comfort of your home, it's just you don't have a lot of variables that that can happen in real life.
Yeah, and like you said again, in the non-traditional and in those things with the technologies where you can actually do a show and stream it online or performance. Well, you're not. It's still a difference between having, you being in that lounge or you being on that open mic and you feeling the energy.
And you feeling the distractions. I mean, honestly, somebody like a plate dropped. You playing a riff or whatever, and a plate drop, or you hearing the clinking of spoons. Does that make you stop? Does that change your melody? Yeah,
because real talk, in my experience, in the studio I've been with artists and coming in studio, and they might sound awesome in the studio. However, when they perform or you see them doing a performance, they don't have the experience. And those great entertainers, when you talk about the greats, not only were they good in terms of, the craft within the studio, understanding how to project that, but they also knew how to perform. They knew how to connect. They knew how to build. And in this, from a business standpoint, and what I tell, not just my students, but other people that reach out to me, and even from my experience, there's a difference between being in the studio and performing.
Yeah, it is.
But now I tell you this, with the great artists, they're able to not only sound like they do on, say, that song or on that record, on that album, but they sound even better.
I think you're right. So if you're just joining us, this is Studio Set Stage. I'm Cynthia Mallard in studio here with Marq Dean. So we're talking traditional versus non-traditional, just kind of in Studio Set Stage, and we're just talking basically just about musicianship, So I'm going to even extend it even further. We were talking off air about film, right? Film, television, and we were just recently, I'm probably sure that you all heard it also or saw it. And it's an old clip, I think, but Issa Rae, writer, producer, director, actress, Issa Rae, creator of Insecure, right? She was just talking about, how she got on. Most of us know, mostly everyone knows, she created her own web series, right? And she talks about, how, the advice that she was given, like early on in her career when she was trying to be an actor, trying to be a director and producer and all this, they were saying, just do it the traditional way.
Right.
And if you're in film and you're in television and you're you're a writer, that normally you do your script, like your spec, like your spec script or whatever. And then you hand it off. You let somebody critique it. They go through it. They hand it off to the next person. They hand it off to the next person. They give it back to you with edits and that type of thing. And so she said, that was the advice that they gave her, right? Now, I think what she was alluding to, she had done a lot of that already, but she kept on saying, like, nobody was checking for her. So the traditional way, she was like, you know what, this crap sucks. Nobody's checking for me. Right. Doing it the traditional way. So I got to go out. I got to branch out and do it the non-traditional way, which was her creating her own web series, putting her own content up there without people editing her or saying that Joe Blow, whatever, at Lionsgate or whatever it is, has to green light it. So, but look what happened with her. Non-traditional, but look, she has one of the most successful shows of our decade.
Yeah, definitely. And that's just goes back to understanding the current that just goes back to understanding the current climate that goes back to understanding the current climate. And as far as with the resources like YouTube, being able to create where content is king now in this current format. This is considered kind of a DIY, do-it-yourself format, where you have, say, YouTube, you have access to equipment, you can create that content and load it right up and make it accessible to millions, potentially, like you said, potentially millions of people.
And you will find a niche. You will find fans. I think a lot of people who are who follow the traditional or old school, we'll call it the old school way, I think, they feel like, I had to go this route. You know, I had to go this route. You know, I'm just saying this is what they're probably thinking. You know, I wrote my script, you know, then I passed it on to this person, then they edited, then they gave it back to me. Then based upon my network, then, you know, I submitted it with the hundreds of thousands of other scripts, you know, so they feel like the young people coming up should do the same thing.
Well, you know, they're just going off of...
Or the new people,
what made them successful.
Yeah.
And, you know, some of that in terms of the process, when they went through that particular process, they were successful. So they're saying, well, you know, this is what I did. I went through these steps.
These channels.
And this what normally works. This is the norm.
Yeah.
And it's important to have an understanding of that process. However, in this industry, it's ever changing. Of course,
every day.
Any industry, there are changes. One thing that's going to be certain is change. You know, what was good in 2014, 2015 isn't now the norm in 2019.
I think about auditions,
right.
You know, even when it comes to theatrics, you know, just this past week, whereas I think years and years ago, it used to be a one-on-one thing, you know, in some settings, they'll bring you in all together.
Oh, yeah.
You know, all together, you're saying your name, you're saying who you are, you're talking about whatever you're doing, and you're doing like the exact audition back to back in the same room, listening to the person who went just before you. So it's totally different.
And how technology, again, like we said earlier, how technology plays a role in that. You know, 15, 20 years ago, there was no YouTube, you know, but now you have that platform that will allow you to upload content, to upload original content in a non-traditional way that now has caught the attention of some of those major players that greenlight projects for major television companies and major movie companies. And a lot of these ideas, a lot of these projects got their start in this non-traditional platform. So, you know, one thing about it right now and currently, one thing I know, like I said, is constant is change. This industry has major changes that occur every 60 to 90 days.
I think it's even, you know what, I really think it's like quicker than that, man. I really do, man.
Well, because of technology, and it probably will be. And,
like
you know,
every month, it seems like every month.
I'm telling you,
every 30
like
days.
Everything comes, you know, but when you break it down in terms of like industry, every quarter, you know, which is 4 quarters in a year, you know, 12 months, 4 quarters, but every quarter is some new developments.
Yeah. So each quarter is made up of 3 months, guys.
Yeah,
so it's January, February, March. That's, you know, first quarter. April, May, June.
Second.
July, August, September, October, November, December.
Fourth.
So that's normally how everything is broken up. And I mean, I just wanted to throw that out there just in case there was somebody who didn't know exactly when we were talking about the quarters. The quarters kind of dictate your budgets. It dictates when things come out, when it comes to film, television. It really, really is the most important part about quarters is just the money. It's really about the money.
Yeah. And it also serves as the fundamental structure in terms of your marketing, promotions, which normally is going to be your biggest piece of the pie. Yeah. You know.
Yeah. Results, ratings, that type of thing.
All of that.
Yeah,
right?
all that.
Across the board, from especially like film, television, all of those things.
Yeah.
And you know, it's funny we were talking about that because I held out for a while on this, and you know, I kind of feel a little bad about it, but I don't. I held out on just getting my Netflix subscription until.
My God. Oh, God.
Until earlier this month.
Netflix is all world. When I say Netflix is all world, I know your studio stages can agree.
Right?
God, it's
like,
all
where the hell have you been?
Yeah,
you know,
up under a rock. Up under a rock.
But and you know, I mean, of course, other things, of course, you know, like with YouTube and all of those things. But with Netflix, I tell you, you know, it's one of those things with this platform where it changed the whole concept of, All right, well, with television, it was a disruptor. It disrupted that whole process.
Well, you see all of the producers and the writers who are on these traditional networks, they're like jumping ship.
Oh, yeah. Most definitely.
We already talked about Shonda Rhimes. I think Viola Davis has it's so many different producers and directors, who have already jumped ship,
Right.
Or if they haven't jumped, did I say jump ship?
You said jump ship.
Yeah, jump ship. No. Or
hell with this, we got to go over here. Yeah, right.
Kenya Barris. I'm sorry. But I mean, they may keep their shows on the traditional networks, but also they're creating ventures on like I said, on the streaming services. So once again, guys, like, don't forget, we are on YouTube. We are on all social, guys. Okay, be sure follow us. Like I said, subscribe, download, please download. But most importantly, subscribe so that we know we'll know that we need to continue with the podcast Studio Set Stage. Right?
Yes, indeed. And don't forget, we do have StudioSetStage.com. The launch is coming up really soon. So, guys, we've got a lot of major things in the works, and over the next couple of weeks you'll be hearing a little more about that. So I don't want to let the cat out of the bag.
I know, and we say that every episode, but
I know,
how you want things to pop out like when you want it to, but sometimes it's like things are happening and you have roadblocks and you just have to deal with them. You got to work through them, right? So we just need you guys to go to StudioSetStage.com and put your email in there, because as soon as it's open, StudioSetStage.com, as soon as it's open, you will get a notification and you can go there and support us wholeheartedly. Don't forget the podcast. We're Apple, iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, I already talked about.
Right. Google Play, for all the Android lovers out there. And definitely iHeartRadio.
Yeah, exactly. We are there, and like I said, we just love, like me and Marq Dean, like we love, like we toss around different topics, and we know that Black Music Month is coming up. So I know you guys have been waiting for a lot of the people who we know in the industry to kind of come to Studio Set Stage and kind of talk to you guys. And believe me, that is on the way. But like I said, there's just been some delays in that. But when it comes to you, we want to bring it to you in the right way.
Yeah. When it comes down to the business, and again, guys, to all the Studio Set Stages out there, make sure you handle your business, because when you handle your business, everything else works out. Because at the core of this thing, and within this entertainment industry, you got to love what you do, but hey, you also got to handle your business. So that's what we want to do, and that's one of the things we want to convey to you guys. And again, thank you for all the love and support.
And don't forget traditional and non-traditional. The topic of this episode, they go hand in hand. Don't look down at the traditional. Don't look down at the non-traditional. Just know that there are different methods, different ways that works for different individuals.
Right.
It's your approach.
Exactly, and understanding those traditional aspects will kind of give you a little insight on how to handle the non-traditional. Because one thing about it, technology changes, but there's nothing new under the sun. And some of these new platforms emerge from existing platforms that if you don't understand how the existing one works, then you might not really understand, how to be effective and be proficient in utilizing that new technology.
I got that.
So you got to do that, right?
How can we reach you, Marq Dean?
You can reach me on all social platforms at Marq Dean Music. That's my IG, my Facebook, also Twitter, Marq Dean Music.
All right, guys. And of course, I'm on all social, Cynthia Mallard World on IG, and then Cynthia Mallard everywhere else. Don't forget, guys, I do the Media Mondays and then Thespian Thursdays, which I always have up, just giving you just some advice, just weekly, just encouragement for you guys just to keep going. And you can find all those postings, like I said, Media Mondays, Thespian Thursdays on my YouTube channel right here, Studio Set Stage on YouTube.
Right, exactly. And I mean, awesome hits that you be giving on, Thespian Thursdays and What's the other one?
I tried Media Mondays.
Mondays.
I basically just talk about, for those of you who don't know, I just talk about kind of what I've gone through. Just the things that I've experienced in my career.
Exactly.
So I don't say I'm the best, but I'm a person that will show up. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's all about showing up, and maybe we just have a whole show on just showing up, which I think we've talked a little bit about.
Yeah.
But
we've kind of talked about that. But you know what? We're going to actually tell you, because really, that's how a lot of opportunities come. Sometimes,
not because you're the best,
you have to show up.
Just show up. Just get there and just be there. So,
exactly.
Like I said, we're trying. We are here, and we are here for you. Okay, so get at us. Okay.
Yes, indeed. I'm Marq Dean,
and I'm Cynthia Mallard. This is Studio Set Stage. Talk to you guys next week.
Take care.